Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a Nimble with Numbers production. Make sure you like and subscribe the Nimble W Numbers YouTube page if you appreciate this content. This is the week 3 edition of Hot Cash from the King of Spice. That's me, Bo_McBigTime on Twitter. We're going to go over all the best cash plays for this weekend, week 3, main slate, 13 games. We got some good ones on the slate. There's a lot of guys that I like to play for GPP this week. I trimmed it down quite a bit, as much as I could for cash games, for those stable points per dollar plays based on volume that they're going to see and chance to hit big. Like, I want the guys that are going to be the most likely to hit their 3 to 4 times their price value on DraftKings. Get started with quarterback. I love Josh Allen at 8,200 against Miami. Miami is 31st in the NFL through 2 weeks against opposing quarterbacks. Josh Allen is the best fantasy quarterback in the NFL, and I don't see any reason why he won't be a great play this week as a cash quarterback. Make it easy on yourself, spend up, get Josh Allen. A little bit down the rung, Jalen Hurts at 7,600 is an amazing play. I really think that Jalen Hurts is going to continue his top 5 play in fantasy at the quarterback position. His mobility has been impressive. His accuracy down the field was the biggest improvement he made from last season. Going down to my third cash quarterback play, Matthew Stafford, 6,500 for a guy who was ultra chalky last week, had a good game. I think that that's an easy pick for a cash game, is if you are looking for a mid-range quarterback with decent upside and a very stable floor. Matthew Stafford, 6,500 is a good one. Another one, I think it might be an optimal play this week, just overall, Derek Carr. I'm going to be playing a lot of Derek Carr this week with or without Davante Adams and Darren Waller. It's really going to come down to the price is super good for Derek Carr. He's got a nice matchup. And finally, my value pick at quarterback for cash games is Marcus Mariota. He's more of a GPP play, and I don't expect to be spending down that far at quarterback in cash games. But Marcus Mariota has a nice rushing floor. He's got a nice couple great receivers, one of which he's actually using. So Marcus Mariota is a good spot at Seattle to put up some big numbers and pay off at 5,500. Moving on to running back. Of course, you can play Jonathan Taylor at 9,000. You can play pretty much any of these guys at the top in a cash game. I'm comfortable with JT at 9,000. He hasn't even had a signature breakout run. He's just had a lot of volume, not as much through the passing game as we would hope. And when you combine that with no touchdowns, then it's going to be tough for JT to stay that mediocre, if we want to call it that. He's scored just fine for us. At 9K, we need him to score a little bit more. If I'm spending up but not too much, there's 2 guys that I'm playing a ton of in cash games, and that's Joe Mixon and DeAndre Swift. Mixon, 7,600. He's getting the receiving volume that we'd hope that JT would get. The Bengals are throwing the ball a lot, and they're throwing the ball a lot to Joe Mixon. 13 targets through 2 games. I will take that all the way to the bank in full PPR on DraftKings. Same with DeAndre Swift. He was limited, quote unquote limited last week. Took about half as many snaps as normal. Still turned in 18 fantasy points. He's a stud. He's going to keep doing his thing. And DraftKings is always going to keep him underpriced for some reason. I have a pretty big drop-off. I have a few guys in the 5,000s here to round out my cash list for running backs. David Montgomery, 5,900. It's going to get lots of volume. Looked really good last week. I think he keeps it going. Cordero Patterson at 5,800. For his volume that he's getting 20 touches a game plus. I love Cordero Patterson. That's just Seattle can't stop anybody. Receivers, running backs, it doesn't matter. And Cordell Patterson is all those things, and he's going to have a good game. Miles Sanders, 5,500. I don't like playing Miles Sanders anywhere ever, but at 5,500, I'm taking some shots at Miles Sanders getting enough volume and maybe scoring a touchdown to make him pay off. At 5,300, I love Breece Hall. And yes, you can do Michael Carter at 5,200, but Breece Hall is getting an ascent. He's on the ascent. He's rising. He's the home run hitter, and if he keeps getting a more and more volume as the season progresses, he's going to be breaking out with his ability. He's a home run hitter. He's a good receiver. It's just a matter of time before Breece Hall takes over this backfield in more of a 65-35 split over Carter, and I think it starts this week. And finally, at 5,000, I'm playing a lot of Damien Pierce because we saw week one, Rex Burkhead kind of took the proverbial, like, oh, I'm the starter. I got the most touches because I'm the veteran. And then last week it was all Pierce. And I think that's going to keep going because when you watch the game, Damien Pierce looks like an actual NFL running back. Rex Burkhead looks like a grocery clerk out there running in quicksand. So Damien Pierce is going to get a lot more work, and he's really good at football. And at only 5,000 flat, that's a good cash play. That's one of the best cash plays on this board value-wise at the running back position. Damien Pierce, $5,000 for a cash game, I think is going to be really nice. Let's move on to wide receiver. I have quite a few wide receivers. That's kind of what I wanted, a wide range of running backs because I want to spend up at wide receiver this week. There's so many great matchups that I want to take advantage of. Especially in GPP, there's up and down this board are great wide receiver matchups. I think that your Millie Maker winners and all your GPP winners are going to have your 3 wide receivers plus a flex of guys that all just go off. Cooper Kupp's at 9,900. He's easily payable for a cash game. If you can fit him in your salary, you do it because the guy's going to score points. And he's the perfect cash game player. The guy's steady Eddie, always does what he's supposed to do. Same with Justin Jefferson, coming off of a bad performance against Darius Slay. It was more of Darius Slay was great and Kirk Cousins was awful last week, but Jefferson's going to get his at 9,300. He's just fine. I kind of prefer the Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs at tier here because Adams, we have no Hunter Renfrow, so I think Adams gets even more target volume after kind of a lackluster performance last week. Jamar Chase, he went 13 targets and then 9 targets. He's just fine for cash games, especially with his upside after the catch. Stephon Diggs, how is he the 5th highest salary at wide receiver? He is the wide receiver 1, along with QB1 Josh Allen. You don't have to stack in cash games. It's not really that important. It doesn't pay off quite as well as in a GPP where you're really looking for that upside. But if you stack Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in a cash game, you're probably in really good shape, especially if you find good value elsewhere. Down a little bit farther, A.J. Brown. I love A.J. Brown. Another situation where you can stack him in a cash game, skinny stack with Jalen Hurts and be just fine. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7,200. That's getting a little steep for me because I do expect some of his crazy pace is not sustainable. He's still a great player. He's still going to score you points. I don't know that I'm going to have a ton of him in cash games at 7,200, but you better believe I'm going to have him in GPPs with his upside lately. 2 guys at 69 and 6,800 that I'm playing a ton of in cash games are Michael Pittman and Jalen Waddle. It's just too easy for Michael Pittman at 6,900. He scored 30 points in week 1 before missing week 2. He's getting a ton of target volume. The Colts don't have any good receivers outside of Michael Pittman. None. Zero. Their tight ends are trash. Their other wide receivers haven't done anything without Pittman. They got shut out without him last week. Play Michael Pittman in cash. Jalen Waddle getting plenty of target volume alongside Tyreek Hill. Tua Tagovailoa is supporting both guys. That's an easy pick. T. Higgins, 6,100. He's what is that? That's below Jamar Chase. That's 2,000 below Jamar Chase. They're performing at the same level. They score the same number of fantasy points over the time that they've shared the field before the Bengals. It's identical. They score the same number of fantasy points, and for him to be $2,000 cheaper than Jamar Chase is an easy smash spot for T. Higgins in cash games. Going down, Drake London and Garrett Wilson, the 2 rookie studs, 5,800 for London, 5,400 for Garrett Wilson. These are both guys that we weren't expecting to get this much volume so early on, but they're earning it. Drake London looks like an absolute superstar so far. Garrett Wilson looks like, if you get volume from Joe Flacco and you're making meaningful plays with Joe Flacco throwing you the ball, that means you're good. You're really good at football. So yeah, 5,800 London, Garrett Wilson 5,400. I'm playing both of those guys. They get some value plays here. How is Devontae Smith, the Slim Reaper, old Smitty here, only $5,200? And yes, he did get blanked in week 1, but last week he saw tons of target volume, looked really good doing it alongside A.J. Brown. I think Smith's going to be a great play for both cash and GPP at that low price. He's not really picking up that much chalk either. 4,300, I'm going back to the well with my human dorch, creamy dorchata to go with my carnitas burrito. Greg Dortch, Arizona Cardinals, 4,300. He's priced up a little bit from last week, but the guy just keeps scoring fantasy points, and in full PPR and the scheme that the Arizona Cardinals are running, where they just pepper Dortch in the slot with short little intermediate insignificant targets, low ADOT. Let him get some yak if he gets it. Otherwise, it's just free money at 4,300. And this is a controversial one. I don't like this player at all. I don't think Tom Brady even likes this player at all, but the target volume's there, even if it's Scotty Miller's pretty bad at football. He's really bad at football. He is okay at getting open, but at the catch point, he's absolute trash. But he did get 8 targets last week, and we get the same thing where you have Brashad Perryman, Russell Gage, and Scotty Miller catching passes from Tom Brady against the Packers. I think Scotty Miller gets enough volume where he might score a touchdown on a long pass. He might get a bunch of just little dink and dunks from Tom Brady. I think Scotty Miller at 3,800 is a nice little value, even though I don't think he's a good player at all. Would I play him in GPP? Probably not. Let's move on to tight end. We got only a few of those. Kelsey and Waller. Kelsey's your spend up option, 7,900. He's safe. He's the only good receiver on the Chiefs, whether they're healthy or not at wide receiver. He's the best wide receiver on the Chiefs by tenfold. The rest of the receivers are absolute garbage, including Juju Smith-Schuster, who's going to be a really popular chalky GPP play, who's going to score you 10 points tops. So don't fall for that crap. He's not a good football player anymore. Travis Kelsey is. Go for Travis Kelsey at 7,900. Waller's a good play at 5,800, but I'm playing Kyle Pitts at 4,800. It's just a matter of time before this monster takes off, gets loose, squeaky wheel gets the grease. We're not even saying Kyle Pitts has been squeaky. He's been pretty quiet about this whole ordeal, where he's supportive of his coach. I don't think Arthur Smith is an idiot, but he sure is acting like one lately. And I think that he's going to feed the beast this week at Seattle. Kyle Pitts bounce back at 4,800. That's as low as you're going to see Kyle Pitts ever. Another guy who's overpriced and getting way too much love, way too many targets in an offense that's good is Tyler Habe at 4,500. He's super overpriced, but the guy's getting targets for no reason. The guy can't catch. He can't get open. He's awful at football, and yet Matthew Stafford targets him. I don't understand it, but I'm going to play him in cash because the target volume's there. It makes no sense at all. The guy has bricks for hands. He's slow as molasses, can't get open. He's not even that good of a blocker. I don't know how he's in the NFL, but he's scoring points for us on DraftKings, so you might as well play him. If you take the name out of it, it's still a decent play. Gerald Everett, 4,400. If Keenan Allen's out and Justin Herbert's in, then Herbert's a smash play. Everett's a smash play. If both of those guys are out, it's just a solid cash play at 4,400. I think Everett's a little bit overpriced too. He's been pretty good without Keenan Allen, but only with Justin Herbert there. I don't know what we're going to get from Chase Daniel. So if neither Keenan Allen nor Justin Herbert are playing tomorrow, then yeah, I don't know about how strongly Everett's going to be in my formula here. Tyler Conklin at 3,800 is a decent play. He's been getting volume. He's better than Higbee. He's better, way, 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 way better than Higbee. And he's actually earning targets from Joe Flacco. He seems to be throwing the ball 50 times a game. Go Tyler Conklin over Higbee, I think. And if you're looking for a little bit more upside, Logan Thomas, 3,500. Good play. He might score a touchdown. Not a great, strong cash play, but a valuable one. The cash play I'm looking at is Irv Smith at 3,100. That's pretty nice because Irv Smith is good at getting open. He did drop a touchdown pass last week wearing Randy Moss's number, which is a travesty. They should have retired that number a long time ago. But Irv Smith at 3,100 is a smash value for cash games. And finally, to wrap up the tight end position, Jawan Johnson of the Saints at 2,900 is a great cash play because he's getting good volume, good red zone volume, and 2,900 is cheap. I love that flexibility that you can get from a guy who's going to score probably just as many points as Everett and Higbee for a couple thousand less. I'm only playing 4 different defenses, and I'm heavy on a couple. First one at the top of the board, the Saints defense, 3,500. I'm not spending up above that, and I'm really not going to have a bunch of the Saints defense at 3,500. It's just too much money to spend when I have so many wide receivers I want to fit in. Then down to the Bucks, 3,100 against the Packers. The Packers don't have any healthy wide receivers, and they were trashed to begin with too. The Bucks defense has scored a ton of fantasy points so far in 2 weeks, and I think that they have a really good chance of taking off. They're going to be pretty heavily involved in my lineup builds, especially in cash. Then we go down to the Baltimore Ravens at 3,000. It's not a pretty matchup. The Ravens have looked pretty terrible on the back end of the secondary. They've been really banged up there, but their front seven's still pretty good. So I'll play a little bit of Baltimore. The one I'm playing the most of is down at 2,300, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Especially, it's going to be way chalkier if Justin Herbert doesn't play. But for cash games, 2,300, spend way down on the Jags D. They're scoring tons of points. They shut out the Colts last week without Michael Pittman. They gave up 100 yards to Taylor, but everybody does. They're forcing turnovers. They're getting sacks. Josh Allen, their edge rusher, is really good. This Trayvon Walker, their other edge rusher, the rookie first overall pick, really good. 2,300 for the Jags defense could be a really nice little value spot, especially if Justin Herbert does not play. That wraps up Hot Cash with the King of Spice. I hope you set your DK lineups for your 50-50s and your double ups and your head-to-heads and your multipliers using these plays. Hit me up on Twitter at @Bo_McBigTime. Check us out, Nimble W Numbers on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button so you can catch everything that we do. Have a great day, everyone.